Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the Commission. Thank you so much for the privilege to address you on one of your items today. As you all know, my name is Vicki Lopez, and I represent District 113 in the state legislature. I'm here today because of the growing concern about digital signs in the urban core of my district. The weeks leading up to today has seen an uptick of concerns by residences and businesses alike regarding the PAM sign. I represent parts of the districts of Commissioner Reyes and Pardo and the complete district of Commissioner Carollo. I have enjoyed a good working relationship with each commissioner and have partnered with each of them when there were concerns with our mutual constituencies. In this case, I have worked closely with Commissioner Pardo, given that this issue is confined to his district, and thus I defer to him as it relates to the city's role in this situation and hope that all of you will as well. I'm not here to argue the merits of either side of this. I do, however, want to set the record straight as to the state's position based on Chapter 479. It should be noted that this statute was created long before digital signs were ever invented. And it's an important distinction given that digital signs allow for multiple messages to be displayed periodically on a sign. Let me reiterate what FDOT, Office of Right-of-Way, has already shared in a letter to Orange Barrel Media dated October 11th, 2022. I'm sure that this has probably been relayed to you as well. In its response regarding the proposed plan to construct signs at the Perez Art Museum of Miami, FDOT determined that the sign would not be subject to the FDOT permitting requirements. It considers the sign on premises, and as such, non-rental income from the displays may not be received from the entity that owns PAM, which in this case is the City of Miami. Therefore, any revenue derived from the sign may be shared with PAM, but not with the city. In addition, the permitting exemption will apply as long as any commercial advertisement to be displayed is for the business conducted or products, services, brands, activities, foods and beverages available to purchase at a retail shop, gift shop, restaurant, self-service to commerce kiosk, both or other method of sales or sales inquiry. Let me give you examples because there has been great confusion about this. If Coke is sold in the restaurant, they may advertise Coca-Cola on the sign. If it sells Chanel products in the gift shop, it may advertise Chanel. And I just learned yesterday from FDOT, I tried to use the example of Mercedes-Benz, and I said, could they just advertise Mercedes-Benz? And I was told that in the Casaya Center, there is a kiosk that allows you to purchase a Mercedes-Benz. So if in fact that is the case on this property, it can as well advertise Mercedes-Benz. This is the extent of the state's jurisdiction over the sign in question. With what FDOT can and will do is investigate all complaints regarding the sign's compliance with the permitting exemptions, and if found to have merit, will enforce the statutory provisions. Therefore, I suggest everyone govern themselves accordingly. Since the sign is exempt from permitting requirements as set forth in Chapter 479, the city has jurisdiction over the sign and, in fact, has an ordinance that provides for the use and support of public space through digital advertising content. That said, I want to be very clear. I would be remiss if I didn't sound a general alarm about the city's sign ordinance. Many different signs, whether they be murals or digital signs, are being permitted in the urban core, many of which are much larger than the PAM sign, which is 1,800 square feet and 1,000 feet from the nearest residential building. There are illuminated advertising murals that are 10,000 square feet, while the Casaya Center sign is 3,400 square feet. Many are even closer to the residential buildings than the PAM sign. I'm going to urge you all to revisit your ordinance to ensure that the same modifications offered in the proposed amendment apply to all signs moving forward. It only makes sense to regulate hours of operations, modulation and ambient lighting, and expressively prohibit adult content. In addition to many other regulations that will strike the delicate balance between signage and the peaceful living conditions of residents who live in the urban core. Sadly, the repeal of any ordinance would grandfather this PAM sign and allow them to operate a legally non-conforming sign without any operation concessions. The last thing we need in Miami is for Miami to become Times Square.
Thank you.
I just tell you this, I will be watching very closely what happens here today, and I will base my next legislative steps on whatever you decide today. I want to say how much I appreciate all of your work on behalf of all the citizens of Miami-Dade, of the city of Miami, and I'm grateful to represent a vast proportion of that city. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm here to speak on SR2 and Chairwoman King's amendment. I stand before you today in neon yellow to deliver and highlight a very important message. Thank you for supporting the arts. The brightly dressed folks and others behind me, wave your hands, are here to echo this statement. We are all so proud of the city's hard work over the past 40 years to develop Miami from a cultural wasteland to a vibrant art scene, recognized worldwide for its endless talent and quality offerings. From art to science, from ballet to opera, from music to history, from animals to gardens. The list goes on, and the progress and commitment are center stage on our world-class stages. Again, thank you for supporting the arts. Thank you for listening to our needs, many needs, over the many months we have joined you. Thank you for being caring and thoughtful city commissioners. It obviously takes time and energy to lead such a great city. Thank you for being willing and committed. Your public service is a blessing to this dynamic, diverse, and growing community. So challenging to bring people together, almost impossible to make everyone happy. The majority of you have done a stellar job creating a compromise, finding a fair solution. You have repeatedly heard the concerns. You have taken action to build a bridge that brings this conversation to a conclusion. Your solution limits future signage. Your solution controls content. Your solution minimizes light levels. Your solution defines operating hours. How fantastic that this commission has found a way to bring us all together. This does not need to be a close vote that's band together and show full support. 5 votes yes. This is a moment we all celebrate a path forward, a time to channel our energies in new and positive directions, a time not to just to support the arts, but amplify the arts.
I'm here today and I would like to talk about agenda item PZ7. I would like to ask you to uphold the decision taken by the Planning, Zoning and Appeals Board on November 15th, revoking the warrant for the outdoor gym in Maurice Ferrer Park, which was done by a vote of 5-2, by the way. Please mind that this is not about people liking the gym or even using the gym. I could pour concrete over the entire park there and build a skate park, and I would find enough people that would say, oh, I love this skate park, it's great. It's not about it. It's about following the right procedures. And here are my 3 reasons. Number 1, the city and park management completely disregarded the master plan. There have been dog parks built, planted trees wherever the park management felt like it. Now the gym, and who knows what comes next. All of this is not in the master plan, a plan that I trusted in when I bought my apartment. So this master plan cost a lot of money to the city of Miami, and now it's just going to waste. Why even spending money on plans if they're completely disregarded? We might as well just stop planning altogether. Number 2, no public outreach. The park and city failed to alert, involve, and consult the community. The park is there for everyone, absolutely, but let's don't disregard the reality. And the reality is that 80 to 90% of the people using the park on an everyday basis are the residents of the neighboring buildings. And we, the residents in those buildings, do not want the gym. We have come here to protest, to make our voices heard, and we need to stop wasting funds. And the 3rd reason, that's my last one, I now have to hurry up, the warrant was issued disregarding the right procedure. There was a 5-2 vote by the Planning, Zoning Appeals Board, and just using the words of one of the board members, who is a lawyer, by the way, and he said this was done procedurally deficient and they did it wrong. In addition to that, I'm against the billboards. Thank you very much.
Boulevard, in the heart of District 2, here to urge you to support Damian Pardo's original resolution. And I'm the building representative to the Downtown Neighborhood Association, and I'm speaking also on behalf of the Downtown Neighborhood Association. Commissioner and Madam Chair, what's going to come out from right now is going to sound personal, but Commissioner Coyle, I assure you it is not. I want to let you know just how upset the people of downtown are about these signs, both at the south end and the new one by the PAM. We want to support the arts, but we don't want to destroy our neighborhood. And the people are so upset that there is now a petition with over 1,000 signatures being circulated by the Downtown Neighborhood Association, asking for your removal from the Park Trust, because we want local control. The gym, the signs, the various things, the cutting down of trees, the damage to the park, the damage to our neighborhood in the recent past has got us to the point that we can no longer tolerate having someone from outside the district controlling what's going on inside our district, someone who is not accountable to the voters of our district doing this. So we're not just urging you to stick to Damian Pardo's original resolution. We are asking you to fundamentally change the way this park is being run, to put our commissioner, the one who is accountable to our district, in charge. We urge you to do this without delay. It's not personal, Commissioner, but it is recognition that the mistakes that have been made are having a negative effect on everyone in our district and on the visitors to our city. Right now, you walk into the park and you're greeted by signs at either end. It's not right. It's not the image we want of Miami. Thank you.
Retired businessman. I'm a retired businessman here in the state of Florida. My complaint is the streets, the condition of the streets where the construction is supposed to be done. I noticed from 79th Street all the way to 95th, they have tore up the streets. The streets look bad. People cars getting tore up. People been complaining. My vehicle was tore up back in November of last year. I have tried to go through all the remedies that I possibly can, speaking to the director and everything in the commissioner office. I have sent pictures and everything of my vehicle. I have did everything that I possibly can. I come here today because I felt that this is the only way I can get this resolved is by coming to see y'all today, because I have voted most of y'all in office. But my problem is that I'm not getting no help to get this resolved. This has been going on since November of last year. My vehicle has been towed up since then. I have bought all type of documents, papers, and everything. No one is doing nothing about it. So I'm here today to try to see if I can get some help from y'all.
I'm going to have the city manager have someone come and speak to you.
Is the commissioner in my area. I've been trying to get to him for the longest, but I've been speaking to people up under him, and they have not been doing nothing to resolve
So
this.
the manager is going to have someone speak to you.
Okay, thank you. Thank
Thank
you very
you.
much.
I am a real estate agent of 25 years. And when Xavier Suarez sat up here in the commission, he had an open door policy in his office. I went into that office when it was on Douglas, and he had these beautiful drawings of what he envisioned Central Park and Times Square of the city of Miami. And Times Square was supposed to be Flagler Street, which is why it's closed off. That's where the billboards were originally planned to go. Central Park is where Museum Park is. Now we're here talking about poor billionaire George Perez. But we have our typical paid supporters with the t-shirts who will get CVS or Visa cards when they leave. Okay, if someone there can show me how this man can erect such an item as tall as this ceiling without a permit, and everybody showing a blind eye, I'm shocked, because he shouldn't be allowed to do that. He should be fined every single day that thing is there. Okay, he's no different than any one of us. As a matter of fact, he should be donating more money to everyone of the city, our police, our homeless, the Lotus House, and down the board, because he's a billionaire. Thank you, and just remember, there is no property value that is increased by this at all, and no quality of life.
I'm against these LED billboards. This scheme by a company from Ohio found a vulnerable spot in our urban landscape and exploited it with artful distractions. They talk about community support content, but I say that is a Trojan horse for endless advertising. This is not about supporting arts. I think their idea is to keep the public hooked with a trickle of shared kickbacks while they rake in the real dough. I get that you all have to make decisions that do not please everyone. Roads and bridges get built. Lives are changed in the name of progress, but this isn't progress. 60 years ago, we knew billboards were eyesores. Back then, First Lady, Lady Bird Johnson, tried to beautify our highways by eliminating billboards. These parasitic monstrosities disturb the residents living around them. Residents drawn to downtown homes by magnificent views of our city and bay. Local government encouraged housing downtown and now is punishing the folks that took them up on it and moved in. Why would anyone want Times Square billboards in Miami? One Times Square 1,200 miles away is enough. Thank you.
And I'm here to share some research done by activist Danny Rivera with you. It's regarding Orange Barrel Media and Small City, who are both promoting this LED billboard project. And they have contributed great amounts of money to elected officials who have decision-making power about this project. And using loopholes in current campaign finance laws, they've moved hundreds of thousands of dollars through political committees, mostly connected to Mark Sarnoff, and who is the chairman of a company called Truth is the Daughter of Time. Orange Barrel has contributed up till the end of last year $672,000 to this PC. That's 97% of the money that they've received, according to the papers they've filed. The top recipient was Alex Diaz de la Portilla, number two, $276,000. Number two was Joe Carollo, but only $58,000. Third, I could go on, but I only have 2 minutes. What her point is that Orange Barrel Media and their former lobbyist Mark Sarnoff have been able to use current campaign finance laws to move large sums of money to the control of the very same people for whom they need approval. To me, this is a dirty business, and we need to shine a light on it. They already have the money. Let's not let them have our city. Thank you.
I'm representing the Venetian Way Neighborhood Alliance, which is an association of the 5 Venetian islands. As such, as you may well know, that it's a banding of very forward-thinking residents. And as being forward-thinking residents, we are completely against the LED lights and support Commissioner Pardo's initiative instead. There are 3 reasons for that. I'll begin firstly with the fact that Miami is not a second-rate Times Square. I'm a New Yorker, and as such, I love my Times Square in Times Square. I don't need it here in Miami. Instead, what I like is a signage of blue everywhere from top to bottom. Why don't we make that our signage instead? A blueness of Miami filled with palm trees. That's the first reason. Secondly, it is a migratory path. Please note that the national trend is to have buildings turn their lights off. This is by the Audubon Society, the Lights Off program, so that birds can actually migrate in peace. So I propose that we give nature a break instead of breaking it, as we've been doing so well with our bay. Let's continue to please support our nature and create a path for them to migrate. Thirdly, the architects, Herzog and Demiran, did not envision something like what we're doing with LED lights. They created a pristine structure. This building, the PAM building, is fabulous. How could they did a seamless union of nature and architecture? They used Stiltsville as their model. How could we then destroy that image of a beautiful museum with a blighted site where we do not want? Thank you very much for listening. I appreciate your attention.
I am the Vice President of the Venetian Way Neighborhood Alliance. We on the Venetian Causeway are just as impacted by these billboards as the residents of downtown Miami. We are 1 mile from the billboard, the building, on our 2 islands, and we can see the light coming in through our windows. We have to close our blinds at night. When we want to look at our view, to look at this beautiful skyline of Miami, all you see is a white blob. It's the billboards. It's right there in your face. It just wipes out the entire view that we have. We pay a lot of money. We pay a lot of property taxes for living where we live, and we choose to keep it that way. We do not need this visual pollution looking back at the city of Miami. That's not what we paid for. So please support Damian Pardo with SR2 in the original form, without any amendments as he presented it before. Thank you very much.
It's actually pretty incredible to see the turnout from the community on SR2. We wear these shirts and because the answer is clear, the impact that this proposal will have in our community. I'm here to speak in opposition of SR2, but I am in support of the amended compromise from Chairwoman King. Miami is built on the arts. You go to Wynwood Walls, you see it everywhere. That's what this community is about. And no one would deny that Miami is a city of creative people. And that's what this proposal will do, and this amendment, and finding compromise in the community, specifically with these regulations where we could tailor certain brightness and certain operational hours. And that's what is a good compromise and a good solution to this issue. And we feel that supporting the arts, the answer is clear, as is shown by these T-shirts and the support from the community of what this will lead to. So we thank you for your time. The answer is absolutely clear. And we thank you for all your efforts, including Chairwoman King for your proposal.
This was in the Herald this week. 2 questions heard often throughout Miami-Dade County are, why don't more people vote? And why don't our elected officials listen to us? The answers to both are related. The less our elected servants serve the best interests of the public, the fewer people vote, due to sheer discouragement. All too often, our elected officials do listen, but not to the discouraged non-voting public. Instead, they listen to those who pay for their re-elections, developers and all the other players making up this most important segment of our local economy. What must change is the negative impact that developer campaign funding has on ridding us of, quote, bad incumbents. That is, those who are consistently self-serving. How do bad politicians stay in office? Through fear. They use their votes to kill the projects of those who don't support them. Not only does this insidious fear keep dollars rolling their way, but even more important, it prevents dollars from flowing to those trying to unseat them. Any new person running for office will tell you the dice are loaded in favor of all incumbents, the good, the bad, and even the terrible. How can we level the election playing field, even a little? Term limits could be shortened, but don't we want to keep our good elected officials? Campaigns need money to get the word out. More disclosure of anonymous funding would help, but might not help fund more challengers of incumbents. Just as voter apathy has taken years to get us to where fewer than 15% of registered voters vote in local elections, it will take time and effort to get people back to voting other than in presidential elections. Thank you very much. So this is SR2, but a lot more. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Lucian Furster. I live in the South Grove. I've lived there for 40 years. I'm here to support the Pardo position in opposition to these billboards. It's hard not to repeat what's been so well said here this morning, so let me go to the fundamentals. What's at issue here is not billboards. What's at issue here is the heart and soul of our community. Who makes decisions and on what business, what basis? Money talks, and it corrupts, and it makes ugly. And that's what's happening here today. There are 3 classes of people who have spoken here this morning. There are people who have a moneyed interest in this project. I respect their position, but they're fungible. They'll go away and make money somewhere else. They have no real dog in this fight other than their next yacht. The second class of people are folks from the arts. God bless them. This city needs arts. The arts need support. I urge you to support the arts. I urge the donor class to get involved. the tech bros that are moving to Miami, put some money on the table for the arts. The billionaires that live on the Bay support the arts. And the third class of people are the people. And they have real concerns. The visual ugliness, the pollution, the birds. These are all issues that are a quality of life, and that's what really counts. Finally, let me say this. Make no mistake. This billboard issue is the thin edge of the wedge. Next, there'll be billboards on Jackson Hospital, the courthouse, wherever.
Thank you.
Thank you for your attention.
Thank you.
I believe I am an art supporter and lover, but this is not about art. This is purely about money. I've been spending a lot of time speaking with one of the top forensic accountants in New York City about what is going on here. And I believe that if 100,000 citizens presented to you in opposition to these billboards, the decisions that could be made by these commissioners is based upon money and contributions. So what I suggest is that for Commissioner Reyes and Commissioner Carollo and Commissioner King and Commissioner Gabella and our city manager, that if one does not actually consider the possibility of the federal government stepping in and launching a forensic investigation of what is going on with the Miami City Commissioners, look around and listen to how many people are actually in opposition to what you are doing. And if you want a federal investigation looking at the finances of all the commissioners, then ignore the wishes of the citizens. Thank you very much.
And I serve as the Vice Chair of the Board of Trustees of Frost Science Museum. My comments relate to item SR2. Frost Science is strongly opposed to large LED signs, particularly the sign being erected by Orange Barrel Media on the PAM property. This sign is extraordinarily offensive and will be especially harmful to Frost Science. The intense bright lights will interfere with our outdoor nighttime activities, and the intense lights represent a threat to the well-being of the over 7,000 animals that live in the fragile ecosystem that we maintain at the museum. As well-intentioned as the proposed legislation being considered today may be, it is badly misguided, and it so favors Orange Barrel Media that it seems it could have been written by one of its lobbyists. The restrictions on use of the sign are trivial and leave Orange Barrel Media's business model fully intact. The legislation would sanction Orange Barrel's misconduct by expressly authorizing its plainly illegal sign to continue. And lastly, and maybe most stunningly, the legislation would convey an enormous financial benefit to Orange Barrel Media by reducing its annual permit fee for the sign at PAM by $370,000 per year, an over 85% reduction. This is clearly not a solution to a problem. I urge you to reject this legislation. Frost Science is strongly opposed to this large LED sign, and we fully support Commissioner Pardo's efforts to correct this problem.
I've been here several times to talk about the LED signs. I appreciate your time on this. I know it's a complicated topic, and when I read through the legislation, even my head starts spinning, and I have a PhD, so I know it's a difficult thing to work through. I do want to say a couple things, reiterating what I said before about the sympathy for our cultural brothers and sisters in the area and the need for funding. 100%. I love museums. I'm a museum person since a kid, and as you heard from Dr. Frost when he mentioned museums inspire people, and that's such an important thing as we are a great city. But I have to say that I've been in the museum field for about 25 years, and these signs at this scale are out of scale with any other museum in the world. And if you don't believe me, I'm bringing my phone with ChatGPT, and I asked the question, will you tell me if any major museum in the United States with a large LED billboard showing commercial advertisements? And this is its response.
There are no major museums in the United States known for prominently displaying commercial advertisements on large LED billboards. Museums typically focus on art, culture, and educational content, And while they may use digital screens for information and exhibition purposes, commercial advertisements are not a common feature.
Just to reiterate that this is totally out of character with what museums do, how they work, and it would be a total shame if Miami begins this trend, and it would be a real disaster for the cultural community. Thank you.
By the way, I was going to dress in black, but then I thought I was going to be confused by the lobbyist, so I changed. So I am against the oversized LED billboards, and I'm asking all the commissioners, please, Mr. Gavella, specifically to you, I'm asking you to listen to the residents. Our interest is the well-being. I can't believe that you as commissioners won't be looking for our well-being instead of the money people, the lobbyists. Please, I think this commission is changing for the better of your residents, of our residents. Please think of us before voting. Thank you.
I promise I will, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. Good to see you all. Thank you for everything you do every day.
Boy, oh boy.
My name is Franklin Sermons. I am the CEO of the Perez Art Museum, Miami, located at 1103 Biscayne Boulevard. I'm here today to express my support for the current amendment for SR2 and to voice my strong support for Chairwoman King's amendment to the ordinance, which safeguards the rights for the digital sign currently installed on PAM's campus. The digital sign, designed by Architectonica, a firm that has known to be defining the Miami skyline for decades, exemplifies our dedication to innovation and creativity. It serves as a beacon for the arts and culture throughout the city of Miami, from downtown, the place all Miamians go for cultural and sporting entertainment. Our building is small on the outside, big on the inside, unlike so many of those surrounding us. Thus, the sign will be an extension of all we do as a gallery to display works of art, giving the community a glimpse inside the museum from outside, even to those who may not be familiar with museums. Additionally, we plan to utilize the screen to promote exhibitions and events, attracting new visitors to Miami, to PAM, and downtown. The financial support generated by the sign will be instrumental to the future of Miami's museum, helping us fulfill our mission for generations to come. Thank you. I'm good? Joining me today are several supporters identified by their yellow shirts who share my sentiments. We deeply appreciate your support for the arts, and together we are the reason Miami is a vibrant and thriving cultural hub, a city of the future. Let's embrace it. Let's not be like other places. Thank you for your time and your support on this important matter.
And I'm the Director of HR at the Perez Art Museum, 1103 Biscayne Boulevard, Miami, Florida, 33132. I'm here to express my opposition to the agenda item SR2 as it stands, while strongly supporting Chairwoman King's compromise, which permits the sign at PAM with thoughtful regulations on brightness and hours of operation. Despite the sign being over 1,000 feet from the nearest residential building, and despite many downtown residential buildings hosting their own large illuminated advertising signs, we still face opposition. Is advertising in the city of Miami reserved solely for commercial brands and sports teams? Does PAM not deserve the same opportunity to promote itself? I believe we are all weary of this ongoing issue, but the fact remains. We relied on the ordinance passed in 2023 and approved on first reading with a sitting District 2 commissioner to create something exceptional on our campus. We depend on the revenue it would generate for our museum, which gives so much back to the community. We greatly appreciate that the majority of the City Commission has recognized these facts, allowing Chairwoman King's amendment to pass on first reading just weeks ago. Please vote in support of PAM and all that we do for this great city.
I think we lose sight, residents, we lose sight of what's actually happening here. Yes, we're talking about LED billboards today, other times it's other matters, but what's really happening is this is a battle between public interest and special interests. And that's what I stand for. I feel like every time I'm up here, I say the same thing. And I think that you have the opportunity time and time again to choose between special interest and the public's interest. You guys, as commissioners, the reason why we ran, Commissioner Gabella and myself, the reason why we ran is to put the people first.
Absolutely.
No disrespect, Commissioner Damian Pardo, but it's not about the Pardo's resolution or amendment. It's the people's. If the people are asking for something, this is what you should be taking into account. What the people want, not the amount of money you're getting paid, not who's telling you, but the residents. That's why you're up here, and that's something that I uphold very true to my heart. And I just want to say that I just want to keep it simple. Everyone else has said exactly why LED billboards should or should not be put up. But I just want to say, Commissioner Carollo, it's really, you should be embarrassed that instead of listening to your residents, you're mocking them. You're up here mocking the residents instead of listening to them. You're not up there to speak. You're up there to listen. You shouldn't be mocking your residents. You should be embarrassed about that. That's all I wanted to say.
And I'm here to speak in opposition of the electronic billboards. I look at this problem with winners and losers, and who are the winners and who are the losers. Downtown Miami, it's a beautiful shoreline. Winner or loser? Loser. The light pollution offered by these signs will just diminish. The signs will cheapen downtown Miami. I look at the residents. Winners or losers? Losers. Light pollution alone, we've seen the pictures of what it looked like at night. And finally, businesses, are they be attracted to Miami because with the signs, or or put off? I would say put off. I don't see where these signs are going to create any tax revenue. Looks like the only winners are the special interests, and that should be a giant red billboard-sized flag when you cast your vote. So please vote not to allow these signs into the city. Thank you.
I'm here today to ask the Commission to support Commissioner Pardo's amendment regarding the billboards, and also to ask the Commission to approve the settlement with Grace Inc. to end this ignominious period of racial gerrymandering in the city of Miami, which has caused pervasive damage to the voters of this city. But I want to start with the billboards. Look at how many residents are here begging this commission to respect their district commissioner. This commission used to have something called collegiality. I remember it back when Mark Sarnoff was a commissioner and not a lobbyist for billboards. Mark Sarnoff actually fought billboards. And it's funny because he won a first battle before becoming a lobbyist, of course, and then he lost up at the state. He gave the power away to the state with what he did. And here we are a decade later, and we have our state legislator representing this area, threatening to take everything away from the city if they make the wrong decision, to export our decision-making up to the state. That's why Commissioner Pardo's amendment is so important, to retain local control over what happens here. This commission has the power of the purse. It can give money to Pam. All of these people asking the city to give away our quality of life worth $1 million a year or more to Pam should just ask for money. This is a commission that's spending $10 million defending one rogue commissioner. This is a commission that's spending $3 million defending a horrifically deficient racial gerrymandering case. This city has the money. And I expected the two new commissioners, both united brand new commissioners, to bring more of a pro-business approach and stop appropriating public resources instead, and just appropriate the money. Thank you.
True or false? The leaders of the opposition of the PAM sign are repeatedly and knowingly providing false and misleading information to the public, this commission, and the press, and are deliberately and disingenuously choosing not to correct the wrong impressions they create. True. As an example, their continued use of the photo of the one-time glitch during the testing of the sign, where it was illuminated only for a short while at far, far brighter intensity than will ever be in reality, and providing that photo to the press and speaking about it during interviews is as if that's what the residents would be seeing every night, and not correcting this wrong impression. The moral of the story: you can't pretend to ride a white horse and then not be accurate and truthful about the facts. True or false? The PAM sign is in the midst of Foray Park, interfering with the use of green space is in the face of the residents. False. The PAM sign is thoughtfully placed in an industrial far corner surrounded by a concrete building, asphalt, and a highway, and has no impact whatsoever on people's use of the park. It is another of the company's signs which are on the park's green space facing the residents. True or false? The compromise ordinance that Chairwoman King has proposed has far more restrictions on the PAM sign than the proposal by Commissioner Pardo, and PAM has agreed to those restrictions on hours of operation, brightness levels, and content. True. Then what are we fighting about? It's a win-win, and the proposal by Chairwoman King should prevail. Thank you for your support of the arts.
As you all know, I represent an outdoor advertising company. I'm not in the habit of speaking publicly against outdoor advertising signs. But this is not normal. What's happened here is not normal. Last year, the city of Miami did something no other city in America has done. Think about that. No other city in America has passed legislation allowing for standalone digital mega signs on the highway, 3 times, almost 3 times the size of standard billboards. No one else has done it. Yet somehow, last year, it appears that a company from Ohio convinced the city of Miami that this was a good idea here. Well, clearly it was not. It was not a good idea. And as the first signs started rising from the ground earlier this year, the community, I think very predictably and understandably, was outraged because this is not normal. The City Commission has an opportunity today to revisit the legislation that spawned this whole mess and to fix it, to rein it in. And we urge you to do so because these standalone digital mega signs, which don't exist anywhere else in the country, are not good for the city, they're not good for the community, and frankly, they're not good for the industry. Thank you all very much.
Oh my God, I'm old. There's a line in there. I know you can do it. It says, "What we have here is a failure to communicate." Well, I don't think in this room we have a failure to communicate. The problem is you don't listen. Okay, that's the problem. Now I'm here to support, number one, RE6. Do the right thing, accept the redistricting settlement map. Put that disgusting personal gerrymandering that got you in trouble in the first place 2 years, put it to bed. All right, secondly, SR2. I don't need to go, I was going to go through the corruption thing, but I'm so tired of hearing that today. I'm going to toss that out and just say I support Damian Pardo, who was not there when Alex de la Portilla snuck that thing under the wire when there was no commissioner. All right? Now, we 100% were opposed to that redistricting map, and we're overwhelmingly opposed to the signs. Commissioner Reyes, this is for you. During your last meeting, you worried that redistricting map would lack diversity on the commission. Respectfully, sir, I love your opinion. I always love hearing your opinion. That's not the problem. The problem is good representation. Let me give some stats. Of the top 100 cities by population in the country, we are at the bottom 8. In Florida, we're at the bottom. Having 100,000 people that you're responsible for by each commissioner is way out of whack nationally, where their average is about 35,000 for a commissioner. So we need more seats. We need better representation, and we need ears to get listened to. All right? You're here for us, and do the right thing. All right? One last thing. All you people in the yellow, thanks for your support for the arts, but you're wrong on the sign.
In recent years, residents have lined up out the door for a lot of important issues, and 2 critically important issues are on the agenda today: redistricting and billboards. Over 2 years ago, I participated in a rally opposing the redistricting map, and I made 2 signs: support your constituents and respect our voices. So last weekend, I was at another rally opposing billboards, and guess what?
Same signs, because this is something we keep asking for over and over and over again. Please, please listen to the residents. Both the redistricting map and the giant LED sign ordinances are overwhelmingly opposed by residents, your constituents, and the people that you represent. We ask over and over again to have our voices heard. Please respect the residents. Do not bow to the influence of money and special interests or bullies that threaten to sue the city. Please approve RE6 today. And SR2, I'm sorry, it's not about supporting the arts. And I hope that the people here don't feel that I'm not supporting the arts because I'm not supporting the billboard. Those are completely separate issues. The billboards are about money. So please revert to the original D2 amendment, reject the most recent D5 amendment, and finally,
on SR2, the LED billboards, this is a referendum on the Miami Mafia and the old corrupt way this city used to do business when a well-funded special interest lobbyist would pay Alex Diaz-La Portilla a bunch of money, cater Flanagan's, and try to force a thing through that nobody wants. It's basically what happened with Biscayne Park, the Centners, and their lobbyist, Bill Riley. Commissioner Gabella, you represent a new hope for the city and its long-suffering people. You have to decide which side you're on, the people or the mafia. You do not have to do what the lobbyists tell you to do. We all know how that worked out for the last District 1 commissioner, and we don't want to see the same thing happen again. On RE6, that legal settlement in the racial gerrymandering case, it includes over $1 million in attorney's fees that the taxpayers are now responsible for the plaintiff's attorneys. I would ask you to amend or offer a pocket item to ask or order the city attorney, congratulations, getting that job nobody wanted, to instruct Miguel DeGrande. DeGrande was supposed to be your redistricting consultant. He was instead your unconstitutional racial gerrymandering consultant. Notify DeGrande to notify his malpractice carrier and put them on notice that the city is coming for not only the $1 million in attorney's fees, but for all the costs associated with fighting that litigation and his fee on that matter as well. Why should the taxpayers continue to pay the corruption tax? And I submit to you, Madam Chair, and the city attorney, that under city ordinances section 2-33C2, you do not have the authority to unilaterally ban public speakers from yielding our time. It is a violation of city laws and exposes the taxpayers to further litigation. And Commissioner Carollo, if you want to count who supports it, let the item go to referendum. Let the people vote and decide. I know you had some trouble counting today, but the only number you need to count to is 63.5 million.
Opposing for SR Chapter 2. My name is Nick Bofill. I'm also known as the Native Guy. I'm a local beekeeper here in South Florida. I started with the Frost Science Museum 7 years ago when they brought me in to help them relocate some plant material. I'm proud to say that I'm still there today, and I maintain all 7 exhibitions that connect our community with the importance of our Everglades and our protective animals. Yesterday, I was called over to work on the 4th floor. And what stood out the most was this big screen that was right next to the serpentarium tank where all the snakes are kept. In front of that is where they house all the spoonbill birds and other birds that they hold in there. Right now, those spoonbill birds are currently nesting. I know that the museum has special lighting for it to help them replicate the natural area, but the billboard right behind it will definitely shine a lot more light than what the birds are used to. Granted, there is fireworks. Granted, cruise ships, ultra, you name it, I get it, but it's not a consistent light shining onto these birds. As I walk to the roof is usually rented out in support of the Science Museum. That's how they get funds. They put out for parties, that's what I'm assuming. The billboard oversees that entire roof. I would not pay them $1 to rent that roof if that sign is on during a $20,000 party that I paid for. So I'm here to support Commissioner Damon Pardo, and I'm against the billboards for the PAM Museum. Thank you for your time.
we all work to serve someone. We sometimes serve others. We sometimes serve ourselves. Today's PAM and redistricting votes is an excellent opportunity and presents crystal clear opportunity to decide who we serve. But how will we tell? The Apostle John said, don't look at the words and the speeches, look at the deeds and the actions. My mother said, actions speak louder than words. FBI Associate Director Felt said, follow the money, all for the same purpose. And the answer is here in FR2, the PAM matter, let's serve our neighbors, adopt Commissioner Pardo's unamended proposal. Keep that simple. On redistricting matter 6, I ask that you follow Commissioner Carollo's good advice here, and for the record, note the number of people that stood. We already have that information from the clerk's archives, the hundreds of people, neighborhoods associations, and civic leaders that stood trying to unify the neighborhoods of Miami. This commission negotiated a settlement now standing before you. I most highly recommend that you adopt it as is and without amendments. Serve Miami's neighbors, our neighbors, your neighbors. Actions do speak louder than words. We'll be watching to see who you serve. Thank you.
I'm a resident of D2 speaking in support of SR2. Really, the main reason I'm in favor of this is because even though it doesn't impact the South Grove where I live, it does impact our district. And there was an election that took place in 2022 that elected both of you. And I think you all know very clearly that you were elected to represent the interests of the residents over the interests of the special interests. And I know that for you, Commissioner Pardo, the reason you've championed this issue from almost day one in office is because you have been hounded by an overwhelming majority of residents saying they do not want these signs. That is the issue. The issue is not support for the arts. I think it's a false choice, a little bit shameful by some of our members of the arts community to present it as a choice of support in arts. I am a massive supporter of the arts. I am also against these billboards. 1 and 2 are not the same, so that's a false choice being presented. But Commissioner Gabel, I really want to address you because I think the other issue is you have appropriately and correctly stated over and over again, we need to defer to what the interest in the districts are when a district commissioner brings up. When that happens in your district, I expect everyone else here to support you. In this case, I'm asking you to please consider supporting the District 2 commissioner that has to be held accountable to the residents and the voters in that district, as you all do as well. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your service. And I trust you all will see the voice here of the many hundreds who have come out and spoken, a microcosm of the community at large. Thank you all.